Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimidandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaudatveshe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Jayatam Suratao Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bojao Radha Madana Mohana. Divyad Brindaranya Kalpadrumadha Sriman Ratnagara Singhasanastao Sri Sri Radha Silav Govinda Deva Pristali Bisevya Manosmarani Sriman Rasarasarambi Bamsi Vata Tatastita Karshan Venu Svanayr Gopir Gopinatha Sriye Stunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suthe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My sincerest gratitude to everyone for being with us this evening for the celebration of the appearance of Lord Krishna, Janmashtami. There's a beautiful verse Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti mad bhakta. Krishna tells the world through his devotee Narada, the place that you will always find me is where people come together with sincere devotion to speak about me and to chant my names and my glories. This is called kirtan. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatir anyata. It is the most simple and yet powerful method of invoking the divine presence of the Lord by simply hearing and chanting these transcendental subjects. Children during kirtan will sing, they will dance, but as soon as someone like me comes to speak some lecture, they usually run away or fall asleep. So this process of kirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord and also speaking the glories of the Lord, is satisfying to the heart and very, very simple for everyone and anyone. Kalera dosanide rajan asti heka mahan guna kirtanait eva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajait. In this age of Kali, which is an ocean of faults, so much hypocrisy and fighting over trivial matters, people are obsessed with arrogance, with greed, with unending selfish desires. And what is religion is taken to be irreligion, and what is irreligion is taken to be religion in this age of Kali. We see this so much in the world today. Dharma means the awakening of the original nature of the living force within us, the soul, which is Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. The purpose of any spiritual path is to create unity and harmony among all living beings. Aham bija pratapita. That there is one supreme absolute truth, one God who is the Father, the Mother of every living being. Yoga, religion, spirituality is meant to purify our hearts in such a way that we could recognize that. Human behavior is the behavior of respect and compassion. But we find today, in the name of spirituality or religion, people become judgmental, sectarian, hateful, angry, arrogant, and violent. What is taken to be irreligion is religion. There are so many difficulties, but there's one blessing. That everyone and anyone, simply by chanting God's name sincerely, can attain the ultimate perfection of life. So Krishna in this verse tells Narada, wherever my devotees are gathered together to discuss topics of me and to chant my names and glory, I am there. And the Lord is Pavitra. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhaya abhyantara suchi. Because the Lord is all pure, simply by being in contact with the Lord, we become pure. Just like if you put an iron rod in fire, it becomes hot and red like fire just because of the association. And if you put the same rod in ice, it will become cold like ice. This is a law of nature. What we associate with, we imbibe those qualities. The Lord is Satchit Ananda, all pure, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. By simply associating with the Lord, by sharing the Lord's seva or service together, we become purified. Srila Prabhupada gave a beautiful example. When a drop of water falls from a cloud and enters into the ground, it becomes muddy, loses its transparent quality. But when you put the water through filter, you separate what is not water from what is water and bring about its original, natural, transparent quality. In the same way, the soul is part of God. We are all by nature pure. Our innermost potential is to love God and to feel compassion for every living being. This process of hearing and chanting is so powerful, so effective, because it reawakens that quality within us. The joy of loving, the joy of serving. And the Supreme Lord descends into this world again and again and again, simply to open the doors for this opportunity for everyone. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanama dharmasya tadatmanam srijam yaham. Krishna tells in the Gita, he comes again and again and again. There is one absolute truth, one God. But that Lord is Achintya Shakti. He has inconceivable potencies. Our tendency is we want to try to constrain and restrict the infinite absolute truth to fit according to what we want him to be. But if God is great, we should understand he's greater than our conceptions. He's greater than our philosophies. He's even greater than the religions in which we worship him. The absolute truth is infinite in every way. The cause of all causes. The Vedic literatures explain how, for the purpose of creation, a mere expansion of an expansion of expansion of Krishna takes the form of Mahavishnu. And simply by his exhalation, unlimited universes are created. And simply by his inhalation, they are all disappear. That is God's great. Now, all of us, we are inhaling and exhaling so many times. What happened? Yet we say we're God. But that supreme absolute, who is the cause of everything that exists, 5,000 years ago, appeared in the most intimate, loving form of Krishna to attract our love. To obey God because God is all powerful is one level of spirituality. But to love Krishna simply because he's Krishna is a much deeper, more intimate state of spiritual satisfaction. The special feature of Krishna, who is all attractive, is the Lord appears in such a way to attract us to love him. with the intimacy of a friend, a parent, or a lover. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda are Krishna's mother and father in Vrindavan. We were discussing this morning. How could the cause of everything that exists, the supreme father and mother of all living beings, have a father and mother? Doesn't that limit the Lord? By the same logic, we can say, to say that the Lord cannot have a mother and father, doesn't that limit the Lord? The Lord is unlimited. He has no mother and father, and anytime he wants, he can have a mother and father. Just like the sun rises in the eastern horizon, it is not born, but rather it simply appears to our relative perception. And when it sets in the west, it doesn't die. It's seemingly no longer seen by us. So similarly, the Lord appears within this world to a mother and a father, or however way he wants. That birth is simply the eternal, unlimited, absolute that is manifesting to our eyes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadira Dira Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, his form is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. That form is the source of the unlimited, formless, impersonal Brahman. That form of Krishna is the source of the Paramatma, the Lord that is seated within the heart of every living being as the witness and the guide. Krishna's form is unlimited and all attractive. Krishna was born to Devaki and Vasudeva in Mathura and became the child of Nanda and Yashoda in Vrindavan. Because Nanda and Yashoda loved Krishna so dearly as their own son, that parental affection caused them to not consider that he's the supreme God of all gods. There's a beautiful poem that was written by a saint. He said, some people, out of fear of death, they worship the Mahabharata, the Puranas, the Itihastas, and the great scriptures. But as far as myself, this poet says, I worship Nanda and Yashoda, in whose courtyard the supreme absolute truth, who is the creator, maintainer, annihilator of everything exists, is crawling around like an innocent little baby. This morning we explained the story of Krishna's appearance within this world. When he and Balaram, his brother, were just very small, they gradually learned how to crawl. Krishna tells us in the Gita, I am the strength of the strong. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. I am the ability in man. I am the proprietor of everything that exists. Yet just to give pleasure to our hearts, the Lord is just learning how to crawl as a beautiful little baby. And Krishna and Balaram would crawl around like little snakes with their legs being dragged behind. And sometimes they would see a little calf. And Krishna and Balaram would each grab the tail of a separate calf. And the calf would jump up out of fear. Who's catching my tail? And start running. And Krishna and Balaram would be crying, holding on to the calf's tail, afraid to let go, and the calf would be running and running and running, and they would be dragged through cow dung and through cow urine and through the soil of Vrindavan, and Nanda and Yashoda and all the gopis, the cowherd girls, they would see this and they would laugh and they would clap their hands. Their hearts were totally mystified. How beautiful. Sometimes Krishna and Balaram would crawl, and they would hear the ankle bells of their mothers, Rohini and Yashoda. And they would crawl as fast as they could to catch up to their mothers. Then they'd look up, and they'd see it was two other ladies. So they would become scared and cry and start crawling another direction. And Nanda and Yashoda would pick them up and clean their bodies and feed them the milk from their own breast. And little Krishna, he wanted to learn how to walk. So his father Nanda would take his finger and say, "Gopal, please hold on to my finger." And little Krishna would hold on to his finger. And he would take a first step and a second step, then he would slip from the finger and fall down and cry. Just to attract the parental love of his parents. But when he was only a couple days old, even before this, a great powerful demoness named Putana came specifically for the purpose of to kill little Krishna. Putana was a gigantic mystic yogini who had terrible powers. She could change her form, and her special atrocity was she loved to kill baby humans, to drink their blood and eat their flesh. She had already done this to thousands of babies, and now she came to Vrindavan, Mahavan, to do it to Krishna. She assumed a beautiful form, so beautiful, nobody had ever seen any lady so beautiful. They were thinking she must be some goddess. And they let her right into Krishna's little room. And Krishna looked at her, and she looked at Krishna. And she knew in her heart that this is death personified, but still I am so powerful. And she picked up little baby Krishna, who was only about 2 or 3 days old, put him on her lap, and pushed her breast in Krishna's mouth. Her breast was covered with deadly poison, enough to kill hundreds of grown men. Little baby Krishna sucked. He sucked all the poison, and then somehow or other she had some parental affection awakened in her heart. He sucked out a little bit of milk, and then he started sucking out her very life. She was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It was causing her great pain. She ran outside and manifested a gigantic form like a mountain, crying out, "Child, leave me." With all of her power, she was trying to take little Krishna off of her body. But Krishna squeezed with his tiny, tiny little infant fingers and kicked her with his little soft feet. It was causing her such immense, unbearable pain. He sucked out her very life force, and she fell to the ground. But the Lord is so kind. He liberated her. even though she was so wicked and cruel, she suffered a little, and all the karma of her cruelty was expired. But because at the last moment she had just a little bit of love for Krishna, like her own child, Krishna gave her the supreme liberation of being a mother of his in this spiritual world. Putana represents a false guru who gives us wrong knowledge, as well as the false guru of our own mind that wants to give us all sorts of alternatives to truth. It may seem like it's nourishing us, but it's filled with a poison that actually separates us from the Lord. When Krishna was just a very little boy, one day he just started to lean to get up. And this was a great... anything Krishna did became a ceremony to celebrate. When Krishna just started slanting his body, he was just a couple months old. They had a festival for him where everyone came to bless Krishna. There was kirtans and there was Brahmins giving mantras. And Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj were inviting guests and serving them because this is the tradition. If we want to actually invoke blessings on our loved ones, we do selfless service to please great people. When their hearts are satisfied, naturally God blesses us through their satisfaction. Yashoda Maya was carrying her little Krishna in her arms, just a baby, and he was feeling very heavy. So she put him down under a cart that had all sorts of utensils on it for sale. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, the great scripture, explains there was a mystical asura, a very cruel person who actually took the form of that cart for the purpose of killing little Krishna. But Gopal understood exactly what it was. So he started to cry, and he called for his mother, but his mother didn't hear for him. So with his tiny little soft foot, he kicked the wheel of the cart. And the whole cart broke, and all the utensils fell to the ground. When the adults came running to see how was our little Gopal, some of the children said, "We saw the cart broke because Krishna kicked the wheel. How is this possible?" Our acharyas explained that Shakatashura represents another obstacle to our pure spiritual advancement. The obstacle of the tendency to hold on and carry our previous bad habits, either from this life or from previous lives. We have to be very careful of this. Before we come to the path of true bhakti, we have so many habits from our past. Oftentimes they are deeply ingrained within our consciousness. And as we're trying to purify our hearts, when these weeds of bad habits start growing, we have to recognize them from what they are. And the way on the path of bhakti, of overcoming our bad habits, are to replace them with good habits. Simply to stop doing bad things is very, very difficult and not easy to sustain. But when we replace those bad activities with good activities, param drisvani vartate, we experience a higher taste. Our beloved Guru Maharaj and the great Acharyas taught us we have the tendency to want to eat. Just eat nice, fresh prasad, and we're satisfied. We have a tendency to hear music, hear the positive alternative of bhajans and kirtans. We want to talk. The tongue has a very strong tendency to say something. Speak about the beautiful glories of Krishna. Speak about the beautiful service to Krishna and to humanity. We like to dance. We can dance for the Lord. During this festival, 1,200 people who have jobs outside, mothers, fathers, they came, many of them, for a full month from 8 o'clock at night until midnight, not asking for any payment, just doing seva, doing service, arranging for the parking, arranging all of these tents, all of these wonderful exhibitions. It has taken tens and thousands of human hours to make this festival that we're now possible. And these people are so happy. The best way to overcome our bad habits is to be so busy doing good things that we just don't have time for our bad habits. Soon, Lord Krishna learned how to walk. When he was a little child, one day he was with his friends and he ate dirt. His friends went to his mother Yashoda and said, Krishna has eaten dirt. His mother was very worried about him. How will he maintain his health if he's eating dirt? She said, Gopal, why did you do this? I'm giving you so many nice foods. Why you ate dirt? Krishna said, I never ate dirt. They are lying against me. She said, but they're all saying they're your friends. Why would they lie against you? Why have you eaten dirt? He said, if you don't believe me, look in my mouth and see. She said, open your mouth and I will see. Now the fact is, Krishna did eat dirt. You may ask, how is it that the absolute truth told a lie? Actually, he didn't tell a lie. Because he's a little baby. And he said this only to increase his mother's affection and to show the world something beautiful. He opened his little mouth, which was this big. And Yashoda looked inside. She saw the entire universe within his mouth. She saw unlimited planets, the sun, the moon. She saw entire oceans, the Himalayan mountains, all the mountains in the world. She saw the devas. She saw all living beings. And yet, Krishna's mouth didn't grow. How is it that the entire universal creation can fit in a mouth that's only this big? That is God. God is great. And when Yashodamai saw the whole creation within Krishna's little tiny mouth, she became very disturbed. What's happening to my son? How is this possible? She was thinking, am I dreaming? No, my eyes are open. I can't be dreaming. Or maybe I'm under some sort of illusion or delusion. But I'm not under some delusion. I'm very in good health and I'm thinking very clearly. How is this possible? She couldn't figure out. In her own little baby son, she's seeing the universe in his mouth. Then she began to pray. Pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are almighty, you are all great. I don't understand what I'm seeing, so I have to take shelter of you. There's no possibility. I have heard people say that my son is like Narayan, my son is God. Gargamuni said that. And even I have heard rumors that my son is actually an incarnation of the Supreme Truth. But I know better than that. When there's thunder, my little Gopal becomes afraid and cries, and he jumps into my lap, and unless I embrace him, he will not stop crying. And when he's hungry, unless I feed him the milk from my body, he will cry in hunger. So let anybody say what they want about the greatness of my son. I know who he is. He is just my son. And I love him. And he loves me. And that is all that matters. But still, what am I seeing in his mouth? So she began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Under illusion, Maya, I am thinking that I am the queen of Vrindavan, and all these cows and all these people are my subjects, and this land is mine, and that Krishna is my son. But actually, my Lord, everything is yours. She became very philosophical. But Krishna did not like to see her philosophical. He closed his mouth, and he smiled. And when he smiled, the beauty of of Krishna's lovely face enchanted her heart so deeply that she completely forgot all about the universe that she just saw inside of him. She embraced him with tears of motherly love and gave him her own milk. Krishna and his little friends, first thing they started doing when they were walking was they would go to gopis' houses to steal butter, makhan chor. And sometimes the gopis would come and complain to Yashodamai that your son, he is so restless. He comes with his friends early in the morning, and not only does he break our butter pots and steal our butter, but he invites monkeys into our house and feeds them. And when we say, why are you doing this? Why are you such a thief? Little Gopal will smile us and say, I am not a thief, you are a thief. And then he will run away. Mother Yashoda, after hearing, I don't have so much time, after hearing so many complaints, she said, somehow or other, I will keep my Krishna at home. And they would say, no, 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 please don't do that. Because actually, it was the ultimate goal, the ultimate aspiration and desire of their life that Krishna would come to steal their butter. The butter represents their love. When our heart becomes soft and sweet like butter, then Krishna will steal our hearts. That is the ultimate attainment. When the all-attractive, beautiful Lord steals our hearts with his love. One time, a particular gopi, who was Krishna's aunt, she saw Krishna in her house eating butter. So Krishna, she caught hold onto him by the hand, and she said, I have caught you today, and I'm going to bring you to your mother. You are always denying stealing butter, but today I caught you red-handed. There's butter on your face, there's butter on your hands. I'm bringing you to your mother. And little Gopal said to this gopi, he said, I warn you, do not bring me to my mother. She said, I am bringing you. And she came with little Krishna in her hand, went to Yashoda and said, Yashoda Mai, I have caught Krishna stealing butter in my house. Here he is. Yashoda Mai looked down. She said, I don't understand. He said, Gopal, he's right here. Don't you see the butter all over his face and all over his hands and all over his body? That's my butter. He was stealing. Don't you see? Yashoda said, I don't understand. That's not Gopal. This gopi looked down, and in her hand was her own son. She was bewildered and very much ashamed. She said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I'm going. And she took her little son, and they were walking down the street. And then the little boy pulled her hand, and she looked down, and it was Krishna. And he said, I warned you not to bring me to my mother. She said, Krishna said, if you do it again, next time I will take the form of your husband. And then you see what you will do. Krishna's beautiful pastime simply to enchant our hearts. One day, Krishna was stealing butter in his own house, and there was a beautiful pillar made out of jewels. And he looked and saw a reflection in one of the jewels of himself. And Yashoda Mai was watching him from behind a wall. And little Gopal said to the reflection in the pillar, he said, you're watching me stealing the butter? Please don't tell my mother. And if you promise you won't tell her, I'll share some of the butter with you. Little boy talking to the reflection. And then Yashoda Mai, she was laughing, and she came out, and Krishna became very worried. He said, I didn't steal the butter. I didn't steal the butter. It was him. This little boy. You see him? I told him, don't steal butter. It's not proper to steal butter. You cannot steal my mother's butter. But he stole it anyway. It wasn't me. Yashoda Mai embraced him. Please take all the butter you like. One day, Mother Yashoda got up early in the morning, and she was churning the yogurt into butter. It's very special yogurt. She would personally grow the best, most fragrant grasses to give the best cows. And then she would milk the cows with her own hands, make it into yogurt, and then churn it into butter. She was churning. And as she was churning, she was remembering her little baby Krishna, who was still sleeping in his bed. And in her motherly love, milk started flowing from her breast. And Krishna, he wanted to taste that milk of his mother's love. So he got up out of bed and came right up to Yashoda Mai and grabbed the churning rod and looked at her and said, "Now that I am here, your duty is to feed me." So she put the churning rod down in the rope, and she put Krishna on her lap and began to nurse him. Just then, on a stove, there was milk cooking. And the fire caused the milk to boil over. So Mother Yashoda put Krishna down to run to take the pot off the fire. But while she was gone, Krishna wanted to teach the world many beautiful little lessons and also attract our hearts by the sweetness of his pastimes. Krishna took a piece of stone, the grinding mortar, and broke the clay pot that she was churning, ate some of the butter, and then went into another room. Yashoda Mai came back, and she saw the butter pot was broken. Where's Krishna? She saw little butter footprints on the floor. And like a detective, Yashoda followed the butter footprints into the next room. There was a courtyard where Krishna was standing over an overturned churning or spice grinder. And he was standing on top of that and reaching over into another butter pot, and he had dozens and dozens of monkeys filling the room, and he was feeding them the butter. Yashoda Mai picked up a little stick and very quietly came behind Krishna. But when the monkeys saw her, they became very afraid. And they started jumping out the windows and running around. And Krishna, he looked around and he saw his mother coming with a stick. He jumped off the grinding mortar and ran away. His mother ran after him. And he ran and she ran and he ran and she ran and he ran. According to the Vedic literatures, it is explained that the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, is faster than the speed of mind. Cannot be caught even by the greatest yogis, even by the greatest scholars. And here he was in the form of a little baby running away from his mother. And as she was running, her flowers were falling from her hair. She was perspiring somehow or other. Krishna allowed himself to be caught by his mother. She had so many other chores to do. She said, "Gopal, you are so restless today. And I don't know what trouble you're going to get into. I'm going to tie you up with a silk rope to this grinding mortar until I finish my duties." She did it to protect him out of motherly love. Yashoda Mai took that silk rope, a rope that is used to tie the rear legs of cows when they would milk them. She put it around Krishna's small, little, tender waist. And when she went to tie it, she found that the rope was 2 inches too short. She tied more rope to that rope, wrapped it around Krishna's little waist. It was still 2 inches too short. She went and got more rope, and she kept tying meters and meters and meters and meters of rope all together. The rope was gigantic. Krishna's waist did not grow at all, but every time she went to put it around him, it was exactly the same. The width of 2 fingers too short. How is this possible? Soon other gopis started coming from other houses with all the ropes of their houses, all different kinds of ropes, colored ropes, and they were all helping Yashoda Mai tie rope after rope after rope to the original ropes. Then Yashoda Mai would put it around Krishna's little waist. It was the width of 2 fingers too short. The gopis said to Yashoda, don't you see that it's not Krishna's destiny to be tied up today? You've already put so much rope together, and it still doesn't go around his tiny little waist. Yashoda Mai, she said, no, I must protect my child. And she smiled. She said, besides that, I have to find out how much rope it takes to tie up my little baby Krishna. She was putting more and more rope, and she was perspiring, and the hair was falling, and her sari was loosening. And Krishna saw what kind of motherly love. She just couldn't accept, even though it was so obvious that Krishna's a supernatural, absolute, mystical Yogeshwar, the master of all yogis. Because of her motherly love, she couldn't accept it. He's just my little boy. This is called Yogamaya. Krishna did not want to interfere with her motherly love. Finally, by Krishna's own sweet will, she tied him up around the waist and made a knot. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is one of the greatest philosophical manifestations in all religious scriptures. In this simple story, the most intimate truth of the divine is revealed. That the Lord is conquered by the love of his devotee. The rope represents Yashoda's pure, innocent love. Krishna's greatest pleasure is to be bound, to be conquered, to be subordinate to the love of a devotee. Those 2 inches, or the width of the 2 fingers, represent the 2 elements of bhakti that can conquer God. One is our own sincere, genuine endeavor to serve and please the Lord. And the other is the Lord's mercy. When we receive those 2, our love has the power to overcome the Supreme. This is bhakti. The all-powerful is overpowered by the love of a devotee. And the devotee is forever overpowered by the sweetness, the beauty, and the love of God. Bhakti means reciprocation. Bhakti means the interaction of love between the Lord and the devotee. And it extends to every living being. Because when love of God awakens within the heart, we naturally see that every living being is a part of God. So there is spontaneous, natural love for everyone. Krishna appears in this world to attract our hearts to this truth, that there is nothing greater that we can possibly strive for than this divine love, this prema bhakti. And in this age, Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna avatar, that same Krishna, with all opulences, with all sweetness, has appeared within the holy name. Simply by sincerely developing a true attitude of seva, unselfish service to others, living a life of humility with good character, and chanting God's names and hearing God's beautiful, loving, attractive pastimes, this love awakens in our heart. Our beloved Guru Maharaj, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he was a personification of this love. And his life, his soul, was simply to share this opportunity with all of us. I'm very, very honored this evening to announce that my very beloved godbrother, Yadubar Prabhu, who is a very intimate, confidential servant and disciple of Srila Prabhupada, is releasing a set, brand new set of his DVDs entitled Following Srila Prabhupada. Yadubar Prabhu, I met him and his good wife, Vishaka Devi Prabhu, in 1971 at the time of their marriage in Vrindavan. From that time and before, Vishaka and Yadubar were taking photographs and movies of Srila Prabhupada. He was the first filmmaker of the Hare Krishna movement. And he came out with these incredible little films that Srila Prabhupada would love to watch. And devotees all over the world were watching. For over 40 years, he has been producing these transcendental films for the upliftment of humanity. And we have here today the culmination where he has taken practically all the footage that anyone has ever had of Srila Prabhupada. And in his brilliance, he took the footage and according to the place where it was taken, he went and interviewed people who were there. And you hear people explaining exactly what was the emotion, what was the pastime, what was the situation as we're watching Srila Prabhupada going through his kind and compassionate life. This is really a great treasure, and it's being released here in the UK tonight. And Yadubar Prabhu, wherever you may be, he will have this available for everyone. Please, it's priceless. Also, we have tonight Braj Rajji, who has come from Sri Braj Bhumi, and he is representing a wonderful campaign to actually restore the Yamuna River to her original glory. If you go to his, he has a presentation, an exhibition. It is heartbreaking. The holiest of all holy rivers where Radha and Krishna eternally perform their leelas is dammed up, diverted into fields, and then in replacement of the river Jamuna, there is tons and tons and tons of sewage water. and industrial waste in one of the holiest rivers in all of the world. So he and his people, Ramesh Babaji Maharaj and people of Barsana, and actually thoughtful people from all over Vrindavan and India in the world, are coming together to help this project to restore the river Yamuna for the sacred purpose of seva to the Dham of the Lord, and also from an ecological, from a social, from an economical, and especially for health. Tens and millions of people bathe and drink that sewage every day. Srila Prabhupada taught us that the pollution and the ecology of the world is due to the pollution in the ecology of the heart. Why is there so much pollution in these holy rivers, in the air, in the land, in the oceans? It is simply an expression of the pollutions of lust, envy, anger, arrogance, greed, and illusion. And if we want a sustainable solution to the pollutions of this world, it has to begin by cleaning our own hearts. And that is what bhakti is, the process of cleansing the heart. And the most highly effective way of cleaning the evolution, the ecology of the heart, is living in a spirit of seva and chanting the all-pure divine names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My humble request, please go and see Yadubar Prabhu's incredible offering. Please see Braj Rajji about what can be done in the seva of Yamuna Mai. And please be happy and celebrate Janmashtami, because the happiness of the devotees together brings the greatest happiness to Krishna. Thank you very much.